So in your session yesterday, you talked about the importance of satellites to being considered as part of the critical infrastructures. Can you explain to us what it means exactly?
Yes, in fact, satellites are a part of the nation's critical infrastructure because a lot of services from satellites we are using every day. For example, the GPS as a navigation system, Galileo will be the same. Search and rescue satellites, telecommunication satellites, for example, in regions where you have not a normal mobile communication. Earth orbiting satellites which are monitoring Earth for earthquakes and other environmental things. All these assets are in space and they are a little bit lost in space because nobody takes care of it. But the Americans do. And we in Europe, we have the problem that Europe has only a limited knowledge about what's going on in space. And that's a point I addressed yesterday.
So there's satellites run by governments and satellites run by private companies. Is there any interference between these two groups?
In general, it's not a problem between satellites of companies and of government. It's mainly a problem of the large number of satellites. In space, there are about 17,000 of objects larger than 10 centimeters. A small part of these objects are operational satellites, but nevertheless, also these so-called space debris parts may destruct functional or operational satellites. Because they have very high velocities. A satellite can have a velocity of about 7 kilometers per second. This gives a very strong damage to a satellite if some of these parts will fly into a satellite.
What's the first step you would suggest to be undertaken to improve the situation? A realistic step that could be done now?
One step is to monitor space to get the orbits of all these objects in space, and on the basis of this catalog you can set up by doing so, you can then make a prognosis for potential collisions.
Has it happened in the past that the failure of a satellite has made a catastrophe situation even worse because the satellite was not working actually?
In the past there were some events where a satellite was damaged by space debris. I don't think that it was like a catastrophe because it actually was an event where only some parts of a satellite, some small parts were hit, or the satellite has not a very important function. But assume that the satellite hit is a very important satellite, perhaps not a television satellite or something like this, but a tsunami warning satellite, which is not functioning during a certain time. And in this time period, perhaps your event takes place.
Now you just mentioned the tsunami. Are there other disasters or is it generally storms that are observed by satellites, or which kind of disasters do they observe and can foretell?
The question here is mainly not what the objects observe. The question is what should we observe? And all these satellites, in fact, mainly observe Earth, but the satellites which are in space should be observed too, to prevent such risks I explained before.